Hey guys, today we're going to start taking a look at something called the slope formula. In the last lesson, we talked about how to find slope of a graph, and we used either the change in y over the change in x, or we used rise over run. So let's take a look. First of all, what is the slope formula? Well, we said that m is the letter we use for slope, and the way we show the change in y is we do second y minus first y over the change in x, and we show that by saying the second x minus the first x. So again, work on memorizing this formula. It just represents the change in y over the change in x. So let's actually practice using this formula. So let's say you're given 2 points, 1 negative 19 and negative 2 negative 7. You'll be asked something like, what is the slope of the line that passes through these 2 points? Well, we're going to use the formula to do that. So first I start by writing my formula. Yes, I want to see the formula every time. That's how you work on learning the formula without actually having to sit and say it over and over and over. Next, I'm going to label my points. Remember, points or coordinates are x, y. Well, guess what? Out of the 2 points, this is the first x, first y. This is the second point, so this is the second x and the second y. So now I'm going to set up the ratio by plugging those numbers into the formula. So here we go. Take the second y minus the first y is negative 19. Please do not drop either of those minus or negative signs. Now let's do the bottom. x2, which is negative 2, second x, minus the first x, which is 1. So that's the ratio that I'll use to find the slope of this line. Now remember, now let's just do it. Let's simplify the top, simplify the bottom, and then we'll reduce the fraction if we can. So 2 negatives make a positive. So negative 7 plus 19 is 12 over negative 2 minus 1 is negative 3. So here we either want to see if it's a whole number, and in this case it is. 12 divided by negative 3 is negative 4. So I use the slope formula to find the slope of the line that passes through those 2 points, which is negative 4. We also can tell from our last lesson, because this is negative, this will be a decreasing line. So that's how we can use our slope formula to find the slope and describe the line. So let's practice a few of these. So now let's find the slope of a line that passes through 3, negative 20, and 5, 8. So I want to start by writing that formula, second y minus first y, over second x minus first x. Label your points, first x, first y, second x, second y. Plug it into your formula. So 8 minus that first y is negative 20 over second x, which is 5, minus the first x, which is 3. Now let's simplify. So remember, 2 negatives make a positive. 8 plus 20 is 28 over 5 minus 3 is 2. First I see if it's divisible, and 28 minus 2 is 14. So my slope is positive 14. Well, what do we know about a positive slope? That means that this is an increasing line. It goes up from left to right. So let's take a look at 3. Let's find the slope of a line that goes between the 2 points, negative 4, 7, and negative 6, negative 4. So first, let's write that formula. Second y minus first y divided by second x minus first x. Label your points. First x, first y, because it's the first point. Second x, second y, because it's the second point. And now let's set up our ratio. Fancy word for fraction, by the way. So, second y minus the first y over the second x minus the first x, which is -4. So that's my ratio. I could also, and I'm kind of giving you a clue about your work and your quiz, I could also rewrite that like this. -6, remember 2 negatives makes a positive. So both of those are the same ratio. So now let's simplify. -4 minus 7 is -11. -6 plus 4 is -2. Well, can this be simplified? If it's an improper fraction, we can see if we can reduce it, but leave it improper. And we can't reduce 11 over 2, but what we can reduce is, or simplify, is 2 negatives make a positive. So this is a positive 11 over 2 slope, and since it's positive, this line is increasing from left to right. So that line would look something like that. Let's try another one. So let's find the line, or the slope of a line, that passes between 17, -13, and 17, 8. So if I'm finding slope from 2 points, I need to pull out that equation, second y minus first y, over second x minus first x. Let's label our points. First x, first y, second x, second y. Now let's plug those numbers into our formula. So my second y minus my first y, which is -13, over second x, which is 17, minus my first x, which is 17. So remember, 2 negatives makes a positive. So 8 plus 13 is 21, over 17 minus 17 is 0. Well, if you'll remember from the last lesson, if the 0 is on the bottom, we can't divide by 0 in nature. So this slope is undefined. And if you'll remember, an undefined slope looks like this. So how would I describe that line? Well, this is actually a vertical line. So that's how I would describe a line that has an undefined slope. Let's try another one. Number 5. So I've got 19,3 and I have 23, 20, 3. So let's find the slope of a line that passes through these points. Write that formula. M, which means slope, Montour. It's either French or Latin, I can't remember. Second y minus first y over second x minus first x equals, let's label those points. First x, first y, second x, second y. Second y, which is 3, minus the first y, which is 3, over the second x, which is 20, minus the first x, which is 19. So 3 minus 3 is 0, over 20 minus 19 is 1. Well, this is not 1. 0 divided by 1 is 0. So the slope of this line is 0. So notice the slope is on the top. So if it's on the top, your slope is 0. Number 4, the 0 was on the bottom, so it was undefined. Now let's describe the line. Remember from our last lesson, a line that has a slope of 0 looks like this. Well, what kind of line is that? It's a horizontal line. So if you have a slope of 0, you would describe the line as horizontal. So that's how you find the slope of a line between 2 points. Take a look at this. We're also going to find slope from a table. And guys, it's actually the same thing, and I'll explain why. A table is actually a bunch of points organized. So the first point here is 1, 5, we have 2, 10, and we have 3, 15. So just a reminder, a table is actually a bunch of organized points. And if you'll remember from the last lesson, when you're finding slope, it does not matter which 2 points you choose because slope is constant. So I'm just going to stick with the first two. So first, let's write our formula. Slope equals second y minus first y over second x minus first x. Now I'm going to label my points. Since the table goes down, I'm going to say this is my first x, first y, second x, second y. Now let's create the ratio or the fraction. Second y, which is 10, minus the first y, which is 5, over the second x, which is 2, minus the first x. 10 minus 5 is 5, 2 minus 1 is 1, 5 divided by 1 is 5, so I have a slope of positive 5, and since it's positive, it will be an increasing line. You won't always be asked to describe the line, but I want you to understand how. And let's try one last table. Sometimes your tables look like this. So I have 2, 3, 4 for my x's, and 3, 4.5, and 6. So this point right here, remember points are x, y, that's 2, 3. This point right here is 3, 4.5. That's how we read or interpret our table. And this point right here is 4, 6. Pick any two to use to find your slope. So first, let's write our slope formula. Second y minus first y over second x minus first x. And I am going to choose the first and the last simply because they're whole numbers. If I can avoid using decimals or fractions, I do, but sometimes you can't avoid it. So I'm going to say this is my first x and first y, second x, second y. So let's plug that in. So I have second y, which is 6, minus the first y, which is 3, over second x, which is 4, minus the first x, which is 2. So now let's simplify. 6 minus 3 is 3. 4 minus 2 is 2. So since this is a positive slope, that means it will increase from left to right. So this is an increasing line. All right, guys, remember to use your notes to help you with your practice, and I'll talk to you guys soon.